What's going on, everyone? 18.4 has been announced. I'm so excited for it. We have our first benchmark workout in the open. So it's Diane, 21-15-9 deadlift handstand push-up. The way in the deadlifts are now considered light for the world of competitive CrossFit, right? 225, 155. Then you're going directly into 21-15-9 deadlift at 315, 225, getting a little bit heavier. And for the first time ever, handstand walking. So a while ago, I talked about handstand walking being in the open. People told me I was wrong. They were making fun of me. Here it is. I'm happy I had one thing that I was right about in the open this year. I'm excited about it. So if you don't have handstand walking, now you have a goal for next year, right? That is a skill that is now officially needed in the open. Now, most of us should have had a hint because Dave Castro talked about obstacle courses at the regional and game level. And usually there's a theme from the open through the regionals, through the games, where there's a certain workout or certain movement that gets heavier and harder at each one, especially between the open and regionals. Sometimes not the games, but usually it's all three. And this year, I think that's going to be handstand push-ups is going to be kind of that standout skill. Hey, handstand walking, or excuse me, handstand walking. Handstand walking alone won't be enough anymore at the regional games level. You have to be able to do some tricks, walk up steps, walk down steps. There's some people going on parallettes, really cool. Now, I know everyone's looking at this, and if you've ever done Diane before, it is a short, fast workout, all right? Let's think about that a little bit, especially if you watch Scott Panchak and what he did, all right? So what I see when I look at this is not let's race to get to the handstand walking as fast as we can. Even though there is a tiebreaker after every set of deadlifts, what I see is grip management, and I'll explain why in a second, as well as, holy crap, I hope your back's healthy. All right, because we have handstand push-ups. So if you're not good at controlling yourself down, your back takes a lot of compression from the head down, right? That's where the compression is going in. And heavy deadlifts, if you don't have a solid back, if your back gets achy, maybe you've had lower back, some disc herniation issues, you're going to be pulling a lot of weight. And a lot of times in the open, we get a little ahead of ourselves. We get out of position. We pull with our spinal erectors and our quads too much. We don't get into that posterior chain. We don't load well because we're so worried about our time. So make sure your back is ready for this. If you're someone that has had a history of back problems, I highly suggest you check out Active Life. They just talked about this in the post right now with this open workout coming up, just because this can be an injury waiting to happen, just like any other movement, but this combination is rough, especially when we get competitive. What I'm looking forward to is seeing all those crazy fail videos of people trying to do handstand walking and falling everywhere. Don't be that person, right? We only have 2 rules of CrossFit Sword. Number 1 is don't be stupid. Number 2 is don't do anything that ends up on a fail video. Do yourself a favor. Don't do anything that puts you on a fail video. All right? So now when it comes to grip, deadlifts, we're squeezing hard, okay? So certain musculature is opening or closing and contracting, right? Now we go into a handstand walk or handstand push-up, and even if you're doing hand release push-ups, now we're going the opposite way with those muscles. And if we keep going back and forth, even if you just do this over and over again, you can feel a pump happening. Now, if you lose sensation to control your hands because your forearms blow up, handstand push-ups, handstand walking gets a little funny. You can't quite feel what's going on. In deadlifts, you're no longer able to grip that bar. So you need some type of method, some type of game plan that's not going to fry your hands after you get through this, because then the workout really starts with that 315, 225 deadlift and handstand walking. If you've ever done Diane before, which if you've done CrossFit, I hope you have. So many people don't do the old school benchmarks. I don't know why. They're so important, especially for that general population. You should know what it feels like to sprint through this, so you should know what you need to feel like in order to handle a higher skill of handstand walking, because there is fine motor skills that go into this. If you've never practiced this fatigued, it is totally different going into handstand walking with your grip and hand shot, with your core fried and your heart rate high. It is a different beast, because most of us don't breathe well when we do handstand walking anyway. Now, when it comes to breaking up the deadlifts and the handstand push-ups, it's the standard rule of break before you're broken. At no point in time during the first 21-15-9 should you see those grinder deadlifts where the bar is moving really slow unless you know you're not doing anything on this end. If you're not doing anything here, obviously this is your workout. You can't lift 315. It is what it is, all right? But this should not turn into the grind phase of this workout. It's a 9-minute cap. Don't get 3 minutes in, 4 minutes in, 5 minutes in, not be able to feel your forearms and panic breathing. That's not what we need. So you need to set a steady pace here, and this is where your money's made. All right, again, break before you're broken. Take that extra second to get set before the deadlift, so that way we have the musculature set so we can hit every rep nice and clean. We're not blowing out energy anywhere. We're not blowing up our lower back before then we kick upside down, and our core is fried, and on most of us, scorpion, and our lower back, it blows up even more. So again, break before you're broken. There's some of you that might have to do handstand push-ups 2 and 3 at a time. It's worth it in order to be able to handstand walk later, okay? Break up those deadlifts where the hands get fried. I'm not 100% sure, but I heard about Scott Panchek was doing sets of 5, switching his grip every time a little differently just to save those hands. Because again, if we go from gripping that bar as hard as we can to then being able to open up that hand, we're going to get this big stretch in all these muscles that we just closed. Now, if anyone remembers when Amanda first popped up in the CrossFit scene, it was snatches, which is external rotation, right? The shoulder opening up, versus ring dips, internal rotation, and people went out too hot. Jason Khalipa is one of them. He is a monster athlete. He learned his lesson on this workout. And his shoulders were so unstable from those 2 opposing forces that he kept missing his last snatch over and over and over again. The same thing can happen here, where you blow up your form so bad that you go to kick up into a handstand push-up or a handstand, and you don't have the control or the range of motion anymore in your forearm. Don't let that happen to you. Don't blow up early in this workout. It literally is a tease to have Diane first, because Diane is such a fast workout for so many of you out there. So be smart with that. The last warning, protect your neck, protect your back. It is just a workout. Don't go into this bouncing your head on handstand push-ups. Control it. Next week's another workout. You want to be able to train all year long. The last thing you want to do is herniate a disc or get a bulging disc because you decided to go 1 rep more than you should have on handstand push-ups or that deadlift, right? So one of the things that gets people in trouble when they compete is they say, okay, 1 more rep or 5 more pounds. That usually ends up leading to some type of trouble, blowing up, or getting hurt. So watch out for that. Now, when it comes to a warm-up, since this is a short workout, if that deadlift is really heavy for you, you're going to want to warm up a little bit more. Take your time. We'll get to that in a second. We don't want to do a 3-minute row or a 3-minute bike. Active Life posted something kind of neat where they want you to do a straight leg row to kind of prep your posterior chain to get it going. If you use the bike, I want your heel on the pedal, not the ball of your foot. I want you to get that hamstring, that glute firing. 3 minutes. Then we're going to get into 3 rounds of hamstring flossing and single leg kettlebell deadlifts. We'll show that to you in a second, as well as a wall walk with a pause. But we want you to do it with intent. We don't want you just to do a normal wall walk, be lazy about it. And then a 20-second bar hang. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to get some extension through the body, and then we're trying to open up those shoulders and kind of decompress the spine before we get into all those handstand push-ups and deadlifts. We're going to get some wrist extension just from flexibility stuff, prep end range, a little box overhead stretch that we find really works before handstand walking or handstand push-ups. And we'll talk about greasing the groove. So greasing the groove is priming that movement pattern, those handstand push-ups. Maybe you're doing hand release if you're scaled, and that deadlift. You can build it. So I think it was last week we actually put up a video of how to build the deadlift from the top down. It's something you might want to look at just to kind of get those muscles firing in the right sequence to get you ready for this. This all depends on how strong you are. If 315 deadlift is not a big deal for you, you might want to work up to 365 for a couple reps just so you have that sensation of what that weight's going to feel like once you're fatigued. All right? You might want to warm up a little bit heavier than 315 if that's a strong suit for you. If 315 is going to be the first time you've ever done 315 in a workout, make sure you pull some reps, gain some confidence in it so that way you go in with a good mindset. Belt up if you need to. Let's make sure we do this right. All right, so now Coach Nass is going to help me out with this warm-up. So the first thing, we're not going to show the row or the bike. All right, we have some hamstring flossing. This probably isn't a good term for it. Hamstring flossing probably isn't the correct way to say it. It's just something that I heard once and it stuck with me. All right, so National's going to lay flat. She's going to pull her knee to her chest. She's going to extend her knee, flex her quad, point her toes to her face, point her toes to the ceiling. You don't get this little bit of a nervy sensation, and then she's going to rebend. We're going to do that 10 times. This should not be painful. You don't have to over-exaggerate it. You don't need to force it. Okay, 10 times per side. Once you've done that, if we actually retested your toe touch ability, it would actually increase. So what we want to do after we gain some type of new range of motion, we want to use it. Nass is now going to do a single leg kettlebell deadlift. So this isn't just about doing our hip hinge. This is going to kind of wake up those muscles in your core. Again, it's probably not a great technical term, but we want to learn how to stabilize. So Nass is going to do a single leg deadlift. We want to make sure she doesn't twist too much. We want to make sure the lower back stays in a natural extended position, whatever is neutral for you. And you see Nass is actually doing a really good job of leading with her foot going back. And then you can see she doesn't overextend her neck or anything. She's looking at the ground. We're just going to do 5 per side. You can relax. Okay, just 5 per side. You can build up in weight every round to get some more tolerance, kind of load up those hamstrings, those glutes, those spinal erectors a little bit more. After that, we have 3 wall walks with a pause at the top. Okay, just hold on 1 second, Nash, once you get down there. You can lay flat. We want you to get your core set before you move. So we see a lot of people go into this and they overextend their spine. Now we want to kind of prep our body to learn how to do this when we're upside down for handstand push-ups, just because if we overextend the spine, we won't cross that line for the handstand push-up standard, okay? And plus our lower back will blow up and it's going to hurt, okay? We don't want to do that today. Your lower back's going to take a beating as it is. Let's buffer as much as we can. So Nasty's going to brace her core. She's going to walk herself up that wall. Go ahead. She's going to keep her abs on. You couldn't hear it, but she took a deep breath in. And then she's going to stay there and hold and extend up, right? Press into the ground, point up, and come back down. Nice and slow and controlled. Not extending the back on the way down. Cool. You only have to do one. All right? You can also practice breathing there too. Okay? You can practice breathing. Now for the chin-up hang, I want you to go with a palm facing your grip, a chin-up grip, because we want to wind up that lat, get a little stretch, especially for my friends that are really tight overhead. And when we do handstand push-ups, we look like this. Because again, with the standard and the open being that line, every half inch, quarter inch matters in getting a rep to count, okay? Now as well with those handstand push-ups, don't forget to point your toes towards your face, because that's going to make a difference in your heel height. So can you carry up into a handstand real quick? Nas hasn't practiced this, she's not warmed up. Let's see what happens. All right, so if Nas points her toes down, you can see where her heels are compared to up. She loses 2 inches in heel height, maybe a little bit more when she points her toes up. Go ahead and point them down and relax. So I forgot to mention that earlier. Make sure you practice that. Don't forget to do that, especially when you're tired. Okay, the other trick on handstand push-ups with the open standard is don't end up looking at your ab mat straight ahead, because if you look at my hand, when I look up, my hand drops down. When I look forward, I'm able to reach up more. So when it comes down to just half an inch, quarter inch mattering between a rep and no rep with this open standard, you want to get as much room as you can. Point those toes down, make sure that head stays neutral. Now the next we're going to talk about are wrist flexibility. Okay, you don't need to get fancy on this. A lot of people try to do all these different things. You can just play with it. Okay, 90 seconds to 2 minutes. You can play around with the fingers pointing backwards, rocking back and forth. It's okay to let the heels come up. What we want to think about having is our fingers down to get ready for that handstand walking as well. Nas can go hands facing sideways. Now she can shift side to side. Again, it's okay to come up, have those heel behind come up. Let's get those fingers ready to walk. And then hands forward. We're going to go front to back. Press up and down. Let's get a nice stretch going. Again, do that whole pressing up with the palms. This is a nice little trick. We learned this from an Andrea Ager seminar where it really kind of helps you get ready for that walking sensation, so maybe you don't have to turn your hands as wide out when you do that handstand walk. Now the last little stretch we're going to do to prep end range is Nas is going to put her forearms on this box and she's going to be pushing her chest down as she reaches forward. So we're doing this again to get that end range ready, maybe to open up a little bit. You'll see Nas is actually winding up her lat a little bit by turning those palms facing each other. So there's 2 ways we can do this. We can have your abs relaxed and Nas is going to push down so we can get some extension through the spine. Specifically, we want to try to get extension in the upper back, your thoracic spine. And then you can also do it with your abs on, and that's going to become a much deeper lat stretch. You're probably going to be able to feel that all the way down to your lower rib cage. Again, we're just trying to prep these muscles before we get into this, and you can relax. All right. That's the warm-up I'd recommend. Take as many sets as you need to feel comfortable with handstand walking, handstand push-ups, and those deadlifts. It's a 9-minute workout. It's pretty short. The weight might be heavy for you. Take your time warming up for it. Don't do a 10-minute warm-up and just start and have the mindset that Diane's going to warm me up for handstand walking and 315-pound deadlifts or 225 for the ladies, all right? I'd love to hear how you do. Let me know if you have other tips, other things you've learned while you do this workout. Share and comment. Talk to you guys soon.